$50 million. That was the deal on the table. The merger that could define the future of the company. The kind of opportunity that demanded precision, strategy, and nerves of steel. Jamila Carter walked into the boardroom with her portfolio clutched firmly in her hands, scanning the room filled with men who had made their careers in an era that often overlooked talent like hers. The whispers started immediately, subtle, almost imperceptible to an outsider, but Jamila could feel them brushing against her confidence, like a cold wind warning her that she was entering enemy territory. Some were questioning her presence, others her competence, and a few were outright skeptical of her right to sit at that table. Hello everyone. Before we dive deeper into Jamila's story, I want to know where you are watching from today. Which city? Take a moment to drop it in the comments and make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a like to support the channel. Tonight was no different, yet the stakes had never been higher. She had worked tirelessly to secure her position as Vice President of Strategic Development at one of the country's top investment firms. But this boardroom, smelled of skepticism, tradition, and unspoken biases that threatened to undermine her at every glance. The chairman of the board watched her approach with a calculating gaze. He had a reputation for testing newcomers, for making them squirm before accepting them as equals, and Jamila knew she would be the test he never expected to fail. As she laid out her documents and prepared to speak, small comments and murmurs drifted toward her from the seasoned directors. Do you really think she understands the scale? One whispered, a hand partially covering his smirk. Another muttered about the boldness of a young woman questioning the firm's long-standing practices. Jamila smiled politely, letting the words wash over her without giving them the satisfaction of a reaction. She had faced this before. She had learned to transform doubt into a quiet, potent force that only sharpened her arguments. Across the room, younger colleagues exchanged glances, their eyes flickering with both admiration and concern. They knew Jamila's reputation, her brilliance, her dedication, but tonight would show whether the boardroom itself could recognize merit over prejudice. Jamila opened her portfolio, presenting a strategic overview of the merger, highlighting projected revenues, risk analyses, and potential market impacts. Each slide, each chart, each calculated figure was a testament to her expertise, yet the tension in the room made the numbers feel heavier, as if the room itself resisted accepting them. The chairman interjected, his tone smooth but edged with condescension. Are you certain these projections are realistic, Miss Carter? The numbers seem ambitious for someone so recently appointed. Jamila met his gaze, unwavering, her voice calm yet resonant. I am confident in the analysis and the team that prepared it, Mr. Winslow. Every figure has been thoroughly vetted, and the strategy aligns with market trends and investor expectations. A few board members shifted in their chairs, some sneering subtly, others whispering among themselves. But Jamila pressed on, detailing scenarios that could make or break the merger, anticipating objections before they were even voiced. As the meeting progressed, she sensed an undercurrent, a subtle attempt to undermine her at every turn, whether through interruptions, dismissive gestures, or questioning the validity of her experience. Jamila held her ground, responding to each challenge with data, logic, and composed authority, turning the room from one of quiet skepticism to cautious attention. Her pulse remained steady, her mind clear. This was more than a corporate negotiation. It was a confrontation with decades of bias and tradition, and she was determined not to be dismissed. Halfway through the presentation, a senior director leaned forward, tapping his pen against the table. I just wonder if someone so new to this level of responsibility can truly grasp the full implications, he said, eyes flicking toward Jamila as if waiting for a crack in her composure. Jamila held his gaze and replied, My role here is not defined by tenure alone, Mr. Caldwell. It is defined by results, expertise, and the ability to anticipate challenges. I have prepared extensively to ensure this project's success, and I welcome questions and scrutiny. as long as they are grounded in the facts presented. A hush fell over the boardroom. The younger employees exhaled quietly, sensing the shift in momentum. Jamila was no longer just presenting a proposal. She was commanding the room through presence, clarity, and unwavering confidence. Whispers of doubt began to fade as directors leaned in, reading her charts, scrutinizing her calculations, and realizing that this was not ambition without substance, but authority earned through relentless preparation and intellect. The tension was palpable, but Jamila thrived in it. She had converted skepticism into engagement, resistance into recognition, and she knew that the first real victory was simply having her voice acknowledged in a room designed to minimize voices like hers. The meeting continued, with Jamila answering every question, countering every objection, and demonstrating not just competence, but an unshakable command of strategy. And yet, the true test loomed, the final vote on whether the board would approve her plan, the decision that would either validate her authority or attempt to push her out of the conversation entirely. When the final discussion began, Jamila could feel the weight of centuries of exclusion and prejudice pressing down in that room. Every eye that lingered, every slight hesitation in voice or gesture, was a reminder that for generations, people like her had been underestimated, overlooked, and dismissed. The chairman cleared his throat, leaning back in his chair, his fingers steepled. "Miss Carter, the board will now vote on your proposal. Are you confident that your projections hold, considering the skepticism expressed?" Jamila's gaze swept across the table, meeting each director's eyes without flinching. "I am confident that this strategy is sound, thoroughly researched, and in the best interest of the company," she replied, voice steady, carrying authority without arrogance. The vote began. Directors hesitated, murmured to each other, some reluctant, others clearly skeptical. But Jamila's meticulous preparation left little room for rejection. Each affirmation of her plan felt like a personal victory against the subtle forces of bias that had tried to contain her. As the tally was revealed, the room shifted. Every director had voted in favor. The merger would proceed as proposed, and Jamila's authority was solidified. Some directors exchanged awkward glances, their doubts now exposed as baseless, their attempts to undermine her laid bare. The chairman's face betrayed a mixture of frustration and reluctant respect. He had tested her, tried to intimidate, but Jamila's quiet composure had dismantled the entire narrative of inadequacy he had hoped to enforce. Outside the boardroom, word of her success spread quickly. Colleagues, employees, and industry peers began discussing how a young, determined woman had not only navigated a hostile environment, but emerged as a leader commanding respect through expertise and poise. Jamila became a symbol of resilience and excellence, her story shared on corporate blogs, professional networks, and social media platforms. Interviews and commentary highlighted her ability to confront systemic bias without anger, using intelligence and preparation as her most powerful tools. Even within the firm, the shift was palpable. Junior employees felt emboldened to voice their ideas, inspired by Jamila's example. Senior colleagues began to reassess unconscious biases, realizing that leadership and talent were not determined by age, gender, or skin color, but by skill, dedication, and courage. Jamila herself remained grounded, aware of the impact she had created, but focused on the work that lay ahead. The merger, now underway, became a testament not only to her strategic acumen, but to the broader message of equity and respect in the workplace. In the weeks that followed, her story continued to resonate, attracting invitations to speak at conferences, mentor emerging leaders, and participate in panels addressing diversity, inclusion, and the power of presence in professional spaces. Jamila's life changed not because she sought recognition, but because she refused to be diminished, and in doing so, she shifted perceptions, challenged entrenched hierarchies, and inspired countless others. The narrative of the boardroom, once a place of exclusion, transformed into a symbol of possibility, demonstrating that courage, preparation, and poise could dismantle prejudice more effectively than confrontation or defiance alone. Her journey was celebrated quietly in offices, living rooms, and professional networks, a reminder that systemic barriers could be confronted with intelligence, dignity, and resolve. Jamila reflected on the moment often, understanding that her victory was not just a personal achievement, but a message to everyone who had ever been underestimated. Presence, confidence, and competence were powerful tools that could shift the world. She continued her work with focus and humility, mentoring others, sharing her insights, and ensuring that the boardroom that had once doubted her would now serve as a platform for excellence, inclusivity, and recognition of merit. By the end of the year, Jamila had not only secured her reputation as a formidable strategist, but had also become a beacon for women and minorities aspiring to leadership. The firm recognized her contributions, and her influence extended far beyond her immediate role. The story of how she stood firm in the face of prejudice, won the vote, and transformed the corporate culture became legendary within professional circles, discussed in forums, articles, and panels. Jamila's message was clear. True leadership is not about fitting into an outdated mold, but about asserting your presence, mastering your craft, and refusing to be sidelined. Her journey was a testament to the power of knowledge, preparation, and unshakable confidence. And so, Jamila Carter continued to lead, inspire, and challenge perceptions. Her story a reminder that barriers, no matter how entrenched, could be overcome with grace, intelligence, and courage. If you enjoyed this story and want to see more real-life accounts of courage, resilience, and triumph against injustice, make sure to subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us bring more stories like Jamila's to the world.